opportunity to present my topic before you. I welcome all the participants in this webinar on the renewable energy. In the today's talk, I am going to present on the solar thermal technology. This talk will be something like 1.5 hours. So I hope all the participants will keep patient learning and patient listening to the entire talk. This talk is divided into two sections. In the very first part, I'm going to introduce about the solar thermal technology, the basics of solar radiation, then some measurement part of the solar radiation. Then I will focus upon the various routes of solar energy utilization. Then I will highlight a few installation in and around Nagpur and a few installations which I personally visited in the last couple of years. Then what is the most important in this webinar is the what are those thrust areas for research in the solar thermal technology. So that I will highlight. And at the last section that will run maybe for 30 minutes at the end. So in that part, I'm going to highlight the projects which we have completed in our solar energy laboratory. So those projects will give you the idea that how one can do the projects with the help of our postgraduate and the undergraduate students, and with the help of the limited fund which is available in most of the colleges now. So I welcome again all of you. Very first part, I would like to introduce why the solar energy is important to us. So if I see our energy use, it is divided in the four economical sector, like the residential, then commercial sector, then transportation sector, and the industrial sector. And if I throw light upon the global energy consumption, so that is the consumption in 2018. And if you look carefully on this global energy consumption, the natural gas, then oil and the coals are being used in majority. But the share of the renewable energy is just 10.9%. In that renewable energy also, we can see the hydroelectric power plant are having the majority and having the significant contribution all over the world. And if I talk about the today's talk, that is the solar energy, which constitute only 8.8%. It means there is a lot of potential and lot of scope in the solar energy part to utilize it effectively. If I see the Indian energy scenario, if I look at the Indian energy scenario, and if I talk about our national grid, so as our national grid, wait a minute. Yeah, if I look about the Indian energy scenario, the primary energy consumption in our country is about 5.8%, and that is a global share in 2018. And we are actually importing lots of crude oil. We are importing million tons of LNG also to fulfill our energy requirement. And if I see the energy statistics, so our national grid is right now, as on 31st March 2020, our national grid is around 370 gigawatt. And if I see the contribution of the renewable energy, that is just 35.86%. So in that renewable energy also, the major part is covered by the large hydro project, that is around 12.3%, whereas the small hydro project is constitute of around just 1.3%. Whereas you can see more than 50% contribution is by the conventional energy sources, and that is coal. If I talk about the solar power, the contribution of the solar power in our country as on March 2020, it is around 9.4%. So it is very less. As per our Ministry of Power, you can see the renewable energy share is around 23.5%, and this is excluding the large hydro project. So my point to tell is that if I see what is the scope for the solar thermal technology in our country, and if you see the energy consumption in different sectors of our country, so we will find the industrial sector required around 49% is the share of the industrial sector. Then transport is 22%, residential 10%, and the commercial market is having the 14% share. If I talk about the solar thermal technology, the thermal technology are best suited for this part this part in the energy consumption in our country. Whereas industry, they require 49% as a share, and in that 49% share, if I again divide in the two parts, that is the electrical energy part and the thermal energy part. So thermal energy part is around 79%, where electrical energy part is 21%. Right now, whenever somebody is talking about the solar energy research, so most of the focus is going on the solar photovoltaics part. So if I talk about the industrial heat utilization, so most of the energy is being consumed as a thermal energy part. So if I use the solar thermal collectors like the CSP collector or the parabolic trough collector, so all those collectors can be better utilized to give the thermal energy. And as you can see in this graph, if the thermal energy contribution is not by the electrical energy or not being used by the coal or the fossil fuels, we can actually shift this graph. That means if I use the solar energy for this energy consumption, surely I can save a lot of electrical energy, which is otherwise being used for say industrial heating purpose. And similarly, we can save a lot of crude oil and lot of LDOs. So that is the scope of the thermal energy technology in our country. When I talk about the solar energy, the source of the solar energy, that is the sun. The sun has been worshipped as a life giver to our planet since ancient times. And this is what on your screen you can see. This is the anatomy of the sun. It is actually a very huge planet. The diameter of the sun is approximately 100 times as bigger as compared to the Earth. And the solar energy means the sun energy is being created in the core because of the nuclear fusion reaction, as everybody knows. And this energy which is being created at the core is getting transferred from the radiation convection zone, then the photosphere, chromosphere transition zone, then there is a corona and the solar wind and a lot of vacuum, and then after it is entered into the earth atmosphere. And this is what we see the path of the solar energy. Or we can say the sun earth geometry, where the earth is revolving around the sun in the elliptical orbit. This elliptical orbit is having some speciality, like the eccentricity is 0.02, and the sun is not exactly at the focal point of this eccentric orbit. The sun is a little bit offset from the focal point. And because of this, what is happening is the distance between the sun and the earth is continuously changing. And this is the one reason why we are getting the difference in the terrestrial solar radiation around the year and at a different part of our earth. In, we are very fortunate, actually. This is the solar system, and we are the third planet in the solar system. And I will say we are very fortunate that we can use this solar energy, that is the sun's energy, for the benefit of the mankind, because no other planet is can use it, because there is no human life on the other planet. So definitely we should take a lot of advantage that we are having the abundant amount of the solar energy available on the earth surface. Now, if I talk about our country, so the equivalent energy potential in our country is more than even 5,000 million gigawatt hour of the energy. And you can just imagine, if I see the electrical grid is just 370 gigawatt, and around 5,000 million gigawatt hour of the energy per year is available. It means the one day of the solar energy is well sufficient to give the entire energy consumption for our country for the more than 1 year even. If I see the demography of our country in the context of the solar energy, so almost everywhere we are getting the very good amount of the solar radiations. So these radiations are well available. The point is that we should use all this energy very efficiently. Now this is something very interesting part, the solar news we must be interested in. Apart from this corona pandemic today, the solar news which are coming in the EQ magazine, then coming in the Economics Times, and the news are something like this. I can read one or more news, like coronavirus lockdowns speeds India shift from the coal to solar power. Then our Prime Minister takes stock of the power sector amid COVID-19 lockdown. Despite this COVID-19, SolarEdge reports 59% rise in the revenue year over year in first quarter of 2020. So these are all those news as a researcher we people must be interested in. But unfortunately, in our routine life, we are interested in the summer season in this kind of the news, that everywhere there is a solar heat and the lot of such kind of the pictures what we can see. So I hope at the end of this presentation, if your focus just shift from this slide to the first slide, so I feel that my presentation is very effective. Now coming to this part, the solar energy for us. Uh, are my slides visible to everyone? Now, if I see the use of the solar energy, so this is something about the use of the solar energy since the ancient times, and we are using solar energy for this trivial application. I know if I ask anybody today what is the use of the solar energy, so definitely I will get such kind of the answers. Like the solar energy is being used for the solar water heating application. It is being used for the box type of the solar cookers, or sometime it is being used for the solar lanterns. And nowadays, solar rooftop system with the help of the solar photovoltaic grid connected plant, it is widely being used. And these are all those applications of the solar energy. But these are not exactly the applications of solar energy. Solar energy is something bigger than this. And this is really not a new technology. If I plunge into a bit history, so this is the figure what you can see on the screen. This is the solar furnace which is developed in 1774, and he is none other than the Lavoisier. Then after in 1878, he was the Augustin Mouchet. In the Paris exposition, he developed a solar steam engine, and that was demonstrated in 1878. So these are those two technology. I think based on this, you can imagine this is not a new technology. This is the solar water heater which is developed in 1891. That is even today also it is very famous as a Kemp's batch type of the solar heater. Then this is in 1911 the first modern flat bed solar collector, which is invented in 1911. So this is what the solar heater what we are using today, but those were developed way back in 19th century, in the very first decade of the this 19th century. Then, if I see again the solar thermal technology, a timeline, 7th century BC, which I have like magnifying glasses we were using. Then we were using the burning mirrors. Then the bronze shields as the reflectors. Then we were using again the burning mirrors for the religious purposes. So this is the long history where we are using the solar energy since 7th century BC. But if I again go to the timeline of this solar thermal technology, I can see in the 6th century the sunrooms and the houses were built. They use the sunlight, and that is the concept of that green building and the solar buildings. Like in 1200s, all the buildings were the south facing building. They were using the solar energy. Then again, if I switch to 1767, like in the 18th century, he was the Swiss scientist, and he created a building that was the first solar collector. And this solar collector is later used by the Herschel when he was in the expedition to the South Africa, and he used this solar collector for the cooking application. And you see the era, that is 1767. Then after, there is a boost in the solar thermal technology, and we are using this thermal technology since those days. Like it is in the economizer, the solar thermal technology was being used. Then in 1839, that was the era when the solar photovoltaic effect was discovered by the Henry Becquerel in the solution. But 1839 is that era when there is just a beginning of the solar photovoltaics. But if I see today, the solar photovoltaic market is in the solar photovoltaic, it is dominant say after 2000, because in 1910 or 1905 there is a little bit good efficiency solar cell were developed. Then in 1955 the good amount of the solar research was carried out at the Bell Laboratories, and that research gives the material and having the solar photovoltaic cell which is having the efficiency say 6%, then it is increases to 10%, and now we are at a stage where the efficiency is around the 16-17% for the commercial application. In this talk I will limit to the solar thermal technology. uh, then I was at this 1860 where the solar power steam engines were used. Then after in 1969, this is the example of the solar furnace. Then this is the example of the solar power plant. Again, this is the example of the solar power plant. And this is the dish type of the collector which is developed in the 1992. So this is just those timeline to give you the idea that the solar thermal technology is not a new technology, and a lot of research work is already being carried out in the solar thermal part. These are those different routes of the solar energy utilization today. So mainly we divide the solar thermal technology or the solar energy technology utilization into two parts. The first part is the solar thermal part. So in this solar thermal, we are using this thermal energy for hot water, that is water heating application, hot air, then electricity generation, then solar cooling application, solar cooking application, and solar distillation application. In case of the solar photovoltaic, as all are aware about the monocrystalline and the polycrystalline solar photovoltaic, so these are this technology is well mature technology today, and we are using this for the electricity generation in the standalone and the grid connected type of the system. And these are few indirect usage of the solar energy like wind power and the biomass power. So in today's talk, actually we are going to focus on the solar thermal technology part. Now in the solar thermal technology part, it is not only sufficient to design the solar thermal system and use it. Instead, while the installation also or the system design also, the most important part is the resource estimation, that how much amount of the solar energy is available in order to design any solar equipment. Now again you can see on the screen there is a picture, and that picture is nothing but the Earth Sun geometry, how the Earth is revolving around the Sun. If I again see this picture, the Earth is tilted 23.5, and it is revolving continuously around the Sun. At the same time, it is rotating about its own axis. Due to this, round the year there is a variation in the solar energy which is reaching on the Earth's surface, and all the time what is required, we need to install the solar collectors in such a way that the solar radiation should fall perpendicular to the solar collector, so that we can actually extract a lot of solar energy for the utilization. And for this reason, we divide the Earth in the different regions. Like for example, we are in the tropical zone, then there is a subtropical zone, then there are the polar zones. So like this, we divide the Earth in the different zones, and based on our location of installation, the elevation of the location, then based on our application, we need to see that what is exactly the position of the Earth with respect to Sun. Then we need to see if I say for example, if I am living in the southern hemisphere at some particular location, I need to see what is the exact location, and if my application is, say for example, the solar cooling application, then I require to install the solar collector in such a way that in the summer season they should use the maximum amount of the solar energy. That's why I need to do the calculation that what exactly the resources are available in the summer season, so that I can put the solar collector accordingly. At the same time, I need to calculate that in the summer season at this particular location, what should be the angle of inclination of the solar collector. At the same time, if I am going for the 2-axis or the single axis of the solar tracking, I need to see which type of the tracking algorithm may be very suitable for this given application. So all those things we are actually putting in some mathematical equation in order to find what is the exactly resource which are available for the designing purpose. Now coming to this part that we call as the terrestrial solar radiation, when the radiations are coming from the sun, which are generated at the core of the sun, and they are actually traveling a lot of distance to the atmosphere. If I consider the 100% solar radiations are coming, only 51% of the solar radiations are getting absorbed at the surface, and these are all those radiations which are available for the extraction of the thermal energy or extraction of the entire that solar energy. This energy, we then divide the solar radiation into these three parts. One that we call as the diffuse radiation, one we call as the direct radiation, and one we call as the reflected radiation. The direct radiations are those radiations which are directly coming on the Earth's surface without any absorption or the scattering in the atmosphere. Diffuse radiations are the radiations which are coming after the either absorption and the reflection by the different components of the atmosphere. And if I combine all this radiation, this being called as a global radiation. So on the Earth's surface, you can see the lot of radiation like X-rays, then extreme UV, then far UV, middle UV, and the near UV. So these radiations are getting absorbed in the atmosphere, and only some near ultraviolet radiation, that is 300 to 400 nanometers, and some visible and the infrared radiation which are falling on the Earth's surface. So on the Earth's surface, we are getting only these two radiation, that is visible and the infrared radiation, and some part of the ultraviolet radiation. If I see the spectra of this, so this is the spectra. The first curve that you are showing is the ideal black body spectrum. If I consider the sun is the black body source, which is having the 5900 Kelvin as the temperature, and if I apply the black body law, I will get a such kind of the spectrum. The second figure, you can see the second curve. This is the extraterrestrial solar radiation, which is having air mass AM0. and this is the radiation what we are considering as the standard test condition that we call as the air mass 1.5. And you can see air mass 1.5 is the radiation which we are considering as a reference, which is having the UV radiation, which is having the visible, complete visible spectra, and which is having the infrared radiation spectra. Then if I see the same thing in the electromagnetic spectrum, so this is that space of the solar energy. So solar energy on the terrestrial surface, which is ranging from 0.3 micrometer to 3 micrometer. So this is what the terrestrial spectra, which is having this much part of the ultraviolet radiation, the complete part of the visible spectrum, and this much part of the infrared spectrum. So this is what the total energy which is available on the Earth surface. Now I have one example for you that how this all mathematics is important. This is just a small example. Say for example, if I want to install some collector like a concentrating collector where I want to concentrate the beam radiation which is falling on the collector at the focal point. For that I need to design the tracking system. The tracking system should be such that all the time we should track the path of the sun, and all the beam radiation which are falling on the collector should get focused or reflected to the focal point. For that it is extremely important to find what is the exact angle of the beam radiation. So if I consider this is the angle of the beam radiation for the collector, so this is one example that will show you that how the beam radiation angle can be estimated. So this beam radiation angle, that is the angle of the beam radiation for the horizontal surface, we call it as the zenith angle. If the surface is inclined, we will call as the angle of inclination of the beam radiation. So this angle, by the geometry we can calculate this angle depend on this phi. This is nothing but the location that we generally constitute latitude of the location. Then this depend on the declination angle. This declination angle in turn depend on the time of the year. Then we will consider angle of inclination of the collector, that is a beta. Then we will consider one more angle, that angle we call as gamma. This is the azimuth angle. This angle actually takes care of the orientation of the collector. Then there is one more angle that we call as the hour angle. So this hour angle is nothing but the time of the year. This in turn, your angle of inclination of the beam radiation depends on the location, it depends on the time of the year, it depends on the angle of inclination of your collector, and again it depends on how you are orienting your collector, and again it depends on the time of the day. So this is the simple example which is telling you that how the angle of inclination of the beam radiation depends on so many parameters. So this is one example. Like this, we need to calculate what is the optimum tilt angle for the solar collector for the given application. And so these are those different angles. We actually are playing with all this angle in order to generate our tracking algorithms. All the time it is not actually recommended to go for only that estimation of the solar radiation with the help of the empirical correlations and the regression analysis with the help of some regression constant. Sometimes it is possible to measure the solar radiation. So we have the different devices, like this is the first device that we call as solar radiation pyranometer. This pyranometer works actually on the Seebeck effect, and which takes care of measurement of the global radiation. With the help of the same instrument, we can actually measure the beam radiation also. We can measure the diffuse radiation also. There is one more instrument that we call as the pyrheliometer, which is being used to measure the beam part of the radiation, which requires the two-axis tracking mechanism. Then there is one more instrument that we called as a sunshine recorder, and this instrument is used to measure what is the day length, because day length is not a constant day length. You can observe that in the winter season the day length is less, in the summer season the day length is more. So based on exact estimation of the day length, we can calculate for the entire day how much amount of the solar energy is available. So these are some common component in any typical weather station. Along with this component, there is one additional component that we call as the wind velocity anemometer and the wind vanes, which will decide that what is the wind velocity and what is the wind direction available at the location. And these all components are there in the typical weather stations. Now coming to this point, that in today, what are the different uses of this solar energy utilization? So these are the two main usage. One is the heat use and one is a light source. Now at this point, I would like to highlight the solar thermal applications and the solar photovoltaic application. These two applications are in totally different as per their energy use from the solar spectrum. Also due to the their components of the the design components of the solar spectrum and their principle of the working. When I talk about the solar thermal energy, our principal objective is to absorb the infrared part of the solar spectrum and increase the kinetic energy of the material, so that we can generate more amount of the temperature and we can generate more amount of the heat, and that heat can be utilized for the different applications in the solar thermal system. But when I talk about the solar photovoltaic system, our objective definitely not to increase the kinetic energy. Instead, our objective is to generate the charge carriers like the electron hole pairs, and we need to generate the electron hole pairs. Then definitely there should be the separation and the recombination of the charge carrier in order to generate your electrical current. So in both these cases, this required infrared part of the solar spectrum, and the solar photovoltaic system required the solar spectrum which is having the response range of the this material, semiconductor material. For example, if I give the example of the silicon, which is having the 1.12 electron volt as a band gap energy. So I required the photon which is having exactly 1.12 electron volt, and this energy is well possible in the near infrared spectrum. So if I am using the commercial silicon as a semiconductor material, and for the single junction solar photovoltaic modules, I required only the near infrared part of the solar spectrum. The other spectrum like the ultraviolet part of the solar spectrum and the some part of the visible is definitely not required, and some part of the far infrared radiations, those part also not required in case of your solar photovoltaic system. That's why in principle these two are very different, and definitely due to that, whenever we need to design the system and we need to select the material for these two systems, the material selection also different. So for this part, we require the material which is having the broad absorption spectrum for the infrared radiation. When I select the material for this solar photovoltaic application, I want the material which can capture the entire solar spectrum, and I need to see the semiconductor material which can actually give the response to the entire solar spectrum. But unfortunately, even today also we don't have any such material which will respond to the entire solar spectrum. Thus, our efficiency of the single junction solar photovoltaic module is limited. Now coming to some applications of this solar thermal part. Now on the screen you can see the different applications of the solar thermal energy. Like it is being used for the water heating application for the domestic usage like bathing and for some other purpose. Then it is being used for the washing machine and some sanitization purpose. But the solar thermal energy is not limited to this part only. In fact, these are actual applications of the solar thermal energy, and you can see these are the different applications like community cooking is one application, then the process heat and the industry, this is one application, and the space cooling is one application. All these applications are actually very popular in our country because the population is high, and in case of the solar thermal power, in fact, we should thanks to our population that we have the lot of scope for the research and lot of scope for the energy utilization, the solar thermal energy utilization. For example, if I talk about the community cooking, we have the lot of hostel, lot of ashram, then the paramilitary defense units, then the prisons, then hotels, industrial canteens, then I will say the community cooking for like marriage halls are there. If I talk about the process industry, the lot of industry like in the textile, then milk pasteurization industry like the dairy industries, chemical plants, all this require the heat that is up to 50 to 350 degrees Celsius. So solar energy can be utilized in these applications. If I talk about the space cooling application, we actually use the vapor absorption refrigeration machine where the solar energy is being converted to the it's being used for the cooling application. Actually, there is a pressurized hot water or the steam which we are producing, and that is being given to the generator part of your VAM machine, and due to that they will create the space cooling. So lot of these applications are there. These are some common applications. I think those who are working in the solar energy, those are well aware about this application. These are some applications of the solar water heater like evacuated tube water heater, the flat collector water heater. This is the application of the solar air heater where instead of water we are using the air. That air is being utilized for the drying application. This is the application of the solar distillation system where we are actually using the solar energy to evaporate the water, and the evaporated water is condensate on the condenser surface. That condensate we can use as a distilled water or the little bit purified water. So these are some common application. The application which I highlighted, like this application, where we required less amount of the heat energy, and the temperature of the absorber surface is also very less. But all the time it is not possible that we will work out with this less temperature. For example, in the solar cooking application, solar cooling application, solar then steam generation application for the power plant, we require lot of energy. So that energy we need to create with the help of the concentrating collector. And on the screen you can see these are the different types of the concentrator. Like the first one is a flat plate collector with the reflecting mirror. This is the CPC collector. This is the parabolic trough collector. Then this is the mirror reflecting collector. This is the parabolic dish collector. So all this collector in principle they are actually receiving the beam radiation, and it is getting reflected by this reflecting surface. Like this, it is getting reflected by this reflecting surface from CPC collector, and at the receiver, in case of parabolic trough collector, the beam radiations are directly falling on the receiver. Some of the radiations are falling here on the reflecting surface, and those are getting reflected to the focal point. So everywhere, according to the concentration ratio of this collector, we are getting the different energy. So all these collectors are being utilized for the different variety of the applications. You can see, if your application is say 0 to 100, so the flat plate collector is very efficient there. If your application is say 100 to 200, then your ETC collector is very good for such system. If your application is up to 400 degrees Celsius, line focusing collectors are recommended. If your application is more than 600 degrees Celsius, the parabolic dish collectors can be used. But if your application is something like a power generation where you require lot of energy, so definitely parabolic dish collector and the line focusing collectors are not much recommended for those large scale application. What is recommended is the heliostatic and the central receiver type of the system, where lots of heliostatic collectors are arranged, and all those heliostatic collectors will reflect the solar radiation at the central tower. And from that central tower, we can receive the energy. That energy we can give to our Rankine cycle. Now here are some examples. Like this is the example of your Indian Railway. All the time nowadays we are well aware that hot water is the best to use for the washing the clothes, because it will actually support to kill the germs. So it is recommended to use at least 40 degrees Celsius hot water to wash the clothes. If I consider the small example of the Indian Railway, if I consider the third AC coach having the 64 berths, 3 clothes for 1 berth. So in total there could be 192 clothes for the 1 coach. And if I consider the such kind of train having the 20 coaches, 3,840 clothes per train per day. So for 1 cloth, if I consider 40 degrees Celsius, 1 liter of hot water is required. You just need to do the simple energy balance like MCP delta T. With the help of that, you can calculate how much amount of the energy is being required if I want to wash these clothes of a single train. And now you can imagine the lots of trains are there, and on the daily basis we are getting the lots. We want to wash lot of bed linen. Indian Railway is claiming that bed linen are washed after every use, and at the same time they are claiming that they are washing these kambals after say 8 days, or say within 2 or 3 weeks. If I want to wash this with the help of our conventional energy, definitely lot of LPG is required, or if I want to use this with the help of this automated washing machine with the inbuilt electrical geyser, lot of electrical energy is required for that. But surely we can use the solar thermal energy for this. Now here are some another application, like this is the application of the industrial process heating. This is the example of the SKF industry, where we are using the phosphating process. For the phosphating process, they require the hot water having 130 degrees Celsius. So for this hot water, they have installed 40 numbers of solar parabolic concentrator for the phosphating process. There is again one example of the Mahindra and Mahindra. They required the washing machine application, and they required around 90 degrees Celsius hot water. So this hot water can be they have actually installed a solar concentrator, that is the dish concentrator. The technology is called as the Arun solar concentrator, and this concentrator is well sufficient to give the 90 degrees Celsius hot water to all these 4 washing machines. And this is a plant which is the Mahindra vehicle manufacturing plant which is there in Pune. Again, this is one industrial application of the ITC factory at the Bangalore, and this is the example of the boiler preheating water. Again, they are using the solar energy for this application. These are some industrial process heat application. Now I will show you some application where we are using the solar cooling. This is the application of again the Mahindra vehicle manufacturing at Pune, and they are using the solar cooling application and LPG vaporization application with the help of the solar concentrator. Around 70 numbers of parabolic concentrator they have installed, and these concentrators are being used for this application of the cooling. You can see in the picture, this is the vapor absorption machine. These are the Shepler collector. All these collectors are focusing the energy at a focal point. This energy is being used for generation of the pressurized hot water or the steam, and that steam is being used here in the generator part of the vapor absorption machine. In this space cooling, again there are a lot of applications. This is one example of the hospital. This is the Kailash Hospital in Gujarat, and they are using around 100 TR of the cooling system. You can imagine 100 TR of the cooling system. The refrigerator, the air conditioning system which is installed in our home, it is around 1.5 or maximum to 3 TR. But this is the 100 TR system which is being used for the air conditioning of the cancer hospital. They are using 100 numbers of the concentrator, and which can generate 167 degrees Celsius of the hot water. So this water is being used for the vapor absorption system. Again, this is one example of the CSM hospital in Thane. They are using for the air conditioning system. I shown you some application in the industrial process setting. Again, these are few applications in the solar cooling. Now coming to the next segment, that segment is the solar cooking segment. This is one example in the Shanti Kunj, where they are using 650 kg per day steam requirement to cook their food in the kitchen. And for this, they have installed a Shepler collector at the rooftop. 160 meter square of the collector area, and that solar collector is giving 100 to 120 degrees Celsius hot water. So this pressurized hot water is coming as a flash steam to their kitchen, and that steam is utilized for the cooking application. So there are a lot of application of cooking. For example, this is one application in the Global Hospital in Mount Abu, Rajasthan. Again, they are using the Shepler cooker. Like these are the Shepler cooker which are installed at the rooftop. This is the one example of the solar cooking in the central jail. So I have taken some solar cooking application, like in one cooking application in hospital, one cooking application is somewhere in the ashram, one cooking application I am taking from the central jail. So this will just to give you an idea that what is the potential of the solar cooking application in our country. So now coming to some other part, like this is a part of the gallery of the domestic solar cookers. And you can see these we call as a DIY type of the collector, like do it yourself collector. You open any link on the YouTube and put DIY solar cookers, so you will get such kind of the solar cooker. But these cookers are not sufficient for the community cooking. Say for you have the family of say 4 or 5 people, you can use this type of the cooker to cook your food. But for community cooking, you need to go for such type of the system where there are the Shepler cooker having the good concentration ratio. So these systems are suitable for those community cooking. Now this is the last example which I want to highlight, and this is the example of the solar thermal power generation. This is a very good example. These are a few glimpses, like you can see like the figure in the first quadrant, and these are the heliostat. So these we called as the mirrors which require the 2-axis tracking mechanism. All these mirrors are focusing the solar energy at a central receiver. At this central receiver, the temperature may reach up to say 580 degrees Celsius. Sometimes we require a temperature up to 600 degrees Celsius. So all the radiations are focusing at this point, and the radiations will generate a tremendous amount of the heat. This heat is being carried out with the help of the molten salt which is stored in the salt bath. And this salt bath heat is stored in the off sunshine period also, so that this plant can run 24/7. So this is one example of the central receiver system, that is we called as a central power tower. This is the example of the again the solar thermal power generation, and this is the example of the parabolic trough collector. You can imagine the size of the parabolic trough collector, like one man is standing beside this parabolic trough collector. All the radiations are getting focused on this line focusing collector here, and the radiations which are collected at the receiver are being used for steam generation in the your conventional Rankine cycle. This is again example of the Fresnel reflector, and this is example of the power generation again. This is again example of the power generation with the help of parabolic trough collector. So like this, this is the very good example of the solar thermal power generation. But mind you, there is a huge difference between the solar thermal power generation and the solar photovoltaic power generation. For example, the solar thermal power generation is not so much recommended for the small scale application. Even today, the solar photovoltaic plants are very much popular because if I want to install the solar photovoltaic plant at my home, so it is very much convenient that I can go with the 3 kilowatt plant, I can go with the 2 kilowatt plant. Even if I have the more energy consumption, so I can go with the 5 kilowatt plant, and that is well sufficient and comfortably I can install at my rooftop. But if I want to install the 5 kilowatt of the solar thermal plant, surely it is not possible on the domestic scale. This is what the major challenge what we are facing right now in the solar thermal power generation. Now, I will take you to the next part, and that is the solar thermal installation around us. This is one picture. This is the actual picture at the CSIR NEERI lab, and there is solar energy park which is installed at the NEERI. These people are working in the energy science department. There is a one department of the materials division and the energy resource division. Those people are working on the concentrating solar power, like this kind of the paraboloidal collector. Then these people are working in the solar air heater. Those are working in the solar distillation and disinfection plant. They people are working in the solar this dryer, and especially those people are working in the material division. Means they are working on the different types of the selective coating material, different type of the selective absorbing material, so that we can use the solar energy and we can absorb the solar energy very conveniently. This is one example. That example is of the use of the solar energy for some purpose of the disinfection purpose. This is one example of the autoclave where the solar energy is being utilization for the sterilization. Nowadays, these kind of the solar autoclaves are very much trending in this pandemic period because you require to sterilize the instrument again. Then a lot of IITs and the research centers are now focusing on the solar autoclaves. I don't have any example or the photographs right now to show, but I think you just put in Google the solar autoclaves and you will see a lot of development in the solar autoclaves. Now coming to this one installation which I visited before 2 years, and this is the solar thermal installation at Mount Abu in Rajasthan. This is the solar steam cooking system. You can see these are the parabolic dish collector which are installed at the rooftop of the building, and those are used for the solar steam cooking system. And they had 24 dishes of 7.25 square meter area. 40 kilowatt is the thermal output, and this system they are using for the cooking of the 2000 meals per day. This is, you can see this is the receiver. All the radiations which are falling on this Schaeffler cooker, those are getting reflected to the receiver. The heat which is collected at the receiver is getting transferred with the help of this pipe to the kitchen. You can see this is the kitchen. At the back side, you can see these are the direct spark type of the solar cooking system, where the steam which is generated at the rooftop is getting transferred with the help of this pipe to the kitchen, and the steam is getting entered in the chamber where the boiling is possible, and they are cooking the rice, then they are cooking dal, then they are boiling the vegetable. At the same time, there is one unique system they have developed. The solar energy can be utilized for the frying application also. You can see this is one pan, like I will call this as the kadai. In the kadai, you can see these are the different kinds of the coils. So through this coil, they are actually circulating the heated thermic oil, or they can even circulate the steam. And this is the frying oil. So the energy which is being collected at the rooftop is getting transferred through this coil with the help of the working medium, and the energy can be transferred to this frying oil, and you can use the solar energy for the frying application also. So this is one application, that is a solar cooking application at the Mount Abu. Now coming to another application, and this is the one of its kind that we call as the solar thermal power plant, and with the thermal storage. The total capacity of this power plant is approximately 1 megawatt, and this is one of its kind. Why I'm telling this one of its kind? Because they are using a sensible heat storage system. This is the Schaeffler collector. This collector is having the size of 60 meter square aperture area with the concentration ratio is more than 350. It means if the solar radiation say 1000 watt per meter square, at the receiver I will get 1000 multiplied by 350 for the single receiver. Like this, there are total 770 receivers of such kind. You can see the size of the receiver. This is a 2-story building and this is the size of the receiver. You can imagine again the size of the receiver. We people are standing here. This is the tracking system of the 60 square meter dish. All the energy which is collected at this receiver is being reflected to the collector is being reflected to the receiver. You can see this is the actual photograph. This is the actual photograph of the receiver. And this receiver is made up of the cast iron, which is having the approximately 3 ton of the weight. So if I consider the CP of the cast iron, just multiply by 3 ton, and you can imagine lot of energy can be stored in this receiver. So these, you can see, these are the tubes which are carrying the water. That water is getting converted to steam. This is the cavity of the receiver. You can see in this picture, this is the cavity of the receiver. All the energy which is reflected by this collector is getting reflected here at the receiver. In the daytime, all the energy is being utilized to convert the water into steam. But in the night time, this energy is being stored, and this is what the speciality of the plant. You can see these are the refractory linings, and there is the insulation, and you can see there is a lid. So in the off sunshine period, they generally switch off this lid, they put this lid, and this entire unit is working as a sensible heat storage unit. So in the entire off sunshine period, the energy which is being stored in this 770 receiver, that energy is being utilized to generate the steam from the water, and that steam is then they are putting into the Rankine cycle of the 1 megawatt. This is a bird eye view of all the solar collector. You can see these are all those receiver which are connected in series in the different segments. Like some 20 to 30 receivers are connected in one series, and like this there are combination of this series arrangement, so that we are getting the superheated steam, and they are claiming the steam is approximately 400 degrees Celsius. So that steam is very sufficient to run your 1 megawatt solar power plant. This entire power plant is connected to the control system, and this is the screenshot of the control system. There are the thermal cameras which are installed at each dish, and these dots are nothing but those 770 dishes. So wherever you want to see what is the tracking arrangement, whether the tracking arrangement is going good or not, where at the receiver we are getting the good energy or not. So based on that, they can track the entire dish. They can alter the lots of angle, and they can change the optical settings of the Schaeffler dishes also in a single click in the control room. That's why you can now imagine with this example, this is not a sector where the mechanical people only can contribute, but definitely in this webinar, the lot of people are from different domains like the electrical engineering, the few are from the computer science, electronics. All these people are equally contribute in the solar energy sector, because in order to control this entire thing, I require the IoT type of the system. In order to give the tracking, nowadays the optical tracking is very trending, or the PLC type of the programming, the microcontroller. Then with the help of the tracking, with the help of some Arduino circuit and the Raspberry. So all these things are very much trending in the solar tracking. So this is the area where the other people also can contribute to. Now coming to what my understanding of the solar research. So this is the one single slide which will give the overview of the research scope in the solar energy. According to me, the solar energy research is divided in these 4 segments. One is the collection of the solar energy, one is the conversion of the solar energy, utilization, and the storage. When I talk about the collection, what is more important is estimation and measurement of the solar radiation. Then second is the collector design. So nowadays a lot of designs are coming in the market, but you can see designs are very restricted, like parabolic dish collector, then parabolic trough collector, then heliostat and the mirrors. But definitely we are looking for some other designs also which can collect the solar energy very effectively and which will give the very good optical efficiency. So this is one area of the research. Then the most significant area and evergreen area of the research in both in solar photovoltaics and in the solar thermal is the research in the material science. In case of the solar thermal, I require the material which is having the very good thermal conductivity, which is having the very good heat capacity, which is very durable, and which should be sustaining the long exposure to the continuous sunlight. So that material I required in the solar thermal system, which is having the good absorptivity also. The next area of the research is the tracking. So lot of research is going in the tracking, because this component will decide the efficiency of your solar collector. If the tracking is not good, definitely you are not getting the good amount of the energy at the receiver point. And once you are not getting the good amount of the energy at the receiver, there is no point to harness the energy 100% efficiently. So if I talk about the solar thermal energy collection efficiency of the flatbed collector, it is around say 50 to 60%. For evacuated tube collector, it is going to say 80%. In case of the solar CSP plant, that is concentrating solar power plant, this efficiency, conversion efficiency may cross up to 80% even. Okay, but that depends totally on this tracking requirement and the tracking efficiency of the tracking. This second domain where we can contribute to the conversion domain. What if we collect the energy with very good efficiency, but if we fail to convert this collected energy in the usable form, that is our failure. So in the conversion part, the selection of the appropriate technology and collector design and exactly the proper installation of the solar collector is very important in order to collect the converted energy into the usable form. For example, if I want to install a solar thermal system for cooling application, where in the cooling application I require to estimate the solar resources in the only summer season because I require the energy in the summer season. I need to calculate what should be the beam angle of the inclination. I need to see which kind of the tracking algorithm should be selected for the summer season. Then only I can ensure that I can ensure the conversion of the collected energy effectively. So this installation part is very crucial when I talk about the collection and conversion in combine. Then in conversion part, there is again the material science people can contribute like anti-reflective coating and the selective absorber. This is a huge area of the research nowadays because if I talk about say the very popular material like the copper, which is don't having the very much absorption spectra in the entire solar spectrum. In fact, in the solar thermal collector, we require the infrared spectrum at most. So we want to develop some kind of the selective coating material which we can coat on the surface of the collector so that maximum amount of the infrared radiation can be collected at a point. Right. So this is the another area where the people can work. In this area, the lot of people from the chemical engineering, the people from the metallurgy and the material science, people from the chemistry, even people from the physics department, and the people definitely from the mechanical engineering are working. So this is one area where all the people can contribute. Then in the conversion part, there is another part that how we can suppress the heat losses. So in this heat losses, the lot of research is again ongoing research because if I talk about the insulation part, all the insulations are not efficient in order to reduce the heat losses. Nowadays, people are using even vacuum type of the these insulations also, but definitely we need to keep in mind that the cost of the system should not increase, so that the system should be very popular in the market. Otherwise, what if you develop the very good amount of the very good efficient material for the to suppress the heat losses, but if that material or the technology is very expensive, then there is no point to put it in the actual use in the commercialization. That's why this is one area where we people can work out. Then there is one more area where the thermal people are really contributing great. That is the heat transfer augmentation methods. Like in the passive and the active type of the heat transfer augmentations, we are trying in the thermal area, both in the water heating application, where in the solar air heater application, again in the CSP type of the application. So this is one area which is evergreen area for the thermal engineers. Now, after collection and the conversion, there is next area that we call as the utilization of the solar energy. Now, we have collected the energy with the very good efficiency, and we succeed in the effective conversion of this energy. But what if we fail to do the proper utilization? So in this proper utilization, when I talk about the thermal energy for utilization in the industrial process heat application, where the very crucial part is the heat exchanger. Nowadays, plate type of the heat exchanger, the shell and tube type of the heat exchangers are being used for this utilization purpose. So this is again very good area how we can increase the effectiveness of this heat exchanger. So that is again the part of the research. Then the part of the research is the utility pattern, heat loss management, and the performance analysis and the feedback system. So in combine, this part will ensure that how effectively we can utilize the collected energy. What I want to say about the utility pattern and the heat loss management, say for example, my application is a solar cooking application. In the solar cooking application, my pattern is I want to cook the food in the community kitchen, say morning at 7 o'clock and till up to 11 o'clock, and then after evening from 4 o'clock to say 6 o'clock. Then I need to check with utility pattern very correctly that I have the 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock. This is the what a time which is available with me for the effective collection of the energy and for the proper storage of this energy, maybe in the pressurized hot water or maybe in the form of the steam. So this utility pattern I need to study very correctly. I mean to say it is not like that if you give the installation order to some EPC company and that company is actually installing the solar collector which is available with them, but we need to see what is exactly your utility pattern. Based on that utility pattern you need to design your storage even. Based on that utility pattern you need to design your the steam accumulator, you need to design your heat exchangers also. Right, so this pattern, this is actually very important. So the people who already have installed this type of the CSP, those should work on this area. Then there is the area of the solar thermal energy storage. When I talk about the solar electrical energy, the batteries are very popular nowadays. Even yesterday also we heard a very good lectures on the battery storage on the lithium-ion batteries. So those batteries are very much trending in order to store the electrical energy. But if I want to store the thermal energy, the batteries are not useful. Instead, that we are going for the sensible heat system. That what one example which I shown in the previous slides. That is the example of the sensible heat storage system with the help of the cast iron blocks. Then there is one more system that we call the latent heat, where we are using the phase change material and the different types of the working medium. Then we need to look for the thermal energy storage like annual storage or the diurnal type of the storage system. Because the solar energy is not available in the off sunshine period like in the night time. Again, it is not available in the season like the winter season and in the rainy season. So in those days, we need to go for the annual type of this solar thermal energy storage system. So this is one area of the solar thermal storage. Then there is a area of the research in the materials of the storage, like the phase change materials are there. So that is again one area. Then area for the sensible storage also, like I shown the example of the cast iron, but definitely there are rock bed type of the systems is very much trending. Then the nanoparticles are being used for the this thermal energy storage as a one medium. Then in case of the storage, again the crucial part is the insulation part. And again, I am coming to the performance analysis and the feedback system. So this performance analysis is very, very important. The solar thermal systems are not surely like your solar photovoltaic system, because in solar photovoltaic system, once you install the system, you only need to clean the system. Then you need to monitor the current and the voltage of the system which is being given by the different types of the solar photovoltaic module. But in case of the solar thermal system, if I go for the CSP type of the system, lot of moving parts are there. Like the solar trackers are there, then there are the heat exchangers, then there are the pumps which are continuously running. So I need to check the performance of all these auxiliary component. And even though if there is one of the component which is malfunctioning in the entire system, the efficiency of the entire system will lose. So what if I have the very good collection efficiency, I use a very good technology and the materials, I use a very good type of the heat exchanger utilization, but in the performance of the system, if one of the component is malfunctioning, surely the entire efficiency of the system is less. That's why this area is also a very good area to work upon. So in total, this is all the area where we people can contribute. Now I would like to summarize the research scope, and we need to work upon only these three part, like the effective design of the collector, then the material and the structure of the solar thermal collectors and the entire system, and our focus should be on the cost reduction only. Because this is at this point I would like to put example that almost in all the classes when I dealing with the solar thermal energy at the very beginning class, I would like to I used to ask the student that how many of you have the installed solar collector at your home. So I will see in the class of say 90 student, only 10 or the 20% hand raise are there of the solar thermal collector, like the solar water heater. And when being asked that what is the reason, the reason is that the family is a very small family having the 4 or the 5 people only, and the cost of the solar thermal system, that collector is approximately 20,000 rupees or 18,000 rupees. So definitely they are not looking to install the system. So this is what the challenge in front of all the researcher, how we can reduce the cost of the solar system. And this is really possible when we go for the modular type of the arrangement, and that arrangement like the solar photovoltaic. Like in the solar photovoltaic system, if I have the capacity to invest 1 lakh rupees, I can go with the 2 kilowatt of the system. If suppose in the next year I have the capacity to invest more 1 lakh rupees more, so I will go with the again the 2 kilowatt system. But in case of the solar thermal system, it is not happening. Right. So what our objective is to design the system which is having the modular size, the small size, and there should be the less cost for the commercialization. So this is what the research scope in the solar thermal. Now I am coming to the last point of this segment, and this is what very important point for the early researchers. This is the point where I would like to highlight what are the different types of the solar energy projects which we have completed in our laboratory. And at the first, I would like to tell you that all these projects are completed by my undergraduate student and my postgraduate student, very limited funding. Okay, so we actually got very good result. I hope these all projects will give you the idea that what we people can contribute in the solar energy. These are those 5 different segments where we people are working. One is the solar heating system. So in solar heating system, we work on the flat plate collector, evacuated tube collector. We deal with the different geometry of the solar water heater. Then we deal with the concentrated the CPC collector, that is compound parabolic collector, and we work on the parabolic trough collector also. In the another segment, that is the solar dryers, we work on the tunnel dryers, we work on the storage assisted dryers. Then in solar cooker, we work on the CPC ETC collector, that is compound parabolic and the evacuated tube collector. Then in the next segment of the solar distillation, we work on the single slope system, we work on the solar steels, we work on inclined basin, then improved evaporation type of the system. Again, we work on the conical type of the distillator, and nowadays we are working on the tubular type of the systems. Then we have the very unique system which we have installed right now in our campus, and that is the concentrated solar power system of 16 square meter. 2 parabolic dish collectors of 16 square meter are installed in our campus for the hostel application for the solar cooking. Now I would like to highlight this one by one. This is the first project where we work on the parabolic trough collector, and that we call as the DAC type of the collector. That's the direct absorption type of the collector, where all the energy is getting concentrated at this receiver, at this collector, and this collector is collecting the energy, and these are the mirror strips which are reflecting all the energy to the receiver. And why we call this as a direct absorption type of the collector? Because there is no metallic contact in between the solar radiation. Only this is a glass tube, and inside the glass tube the water is directly being circulated. We tried different working medium. We tried the nanofluids also, that how they are actually affecting the efficiency. What is the most significant part in this research work, that we went for such type of the different receiver, and this we called as a U-tube and the helical coil receiver. So this is the helical receiver which is made up of the copper material which is inserted in this evacuated tube. This evacuated tube is installed at the focal point. So all the radiation which are falling on this receiver are falling on this reflector are getting collected at the receiver, and with this helical coil receiver, we got the improved surface area, and we got a very good result. So significant result of all this research work are here published in this Springer book chapter. So those who are interested can go with this book chapter. This is the another arrangement of the CSP, that is a parabolic dish collector. This is the parabolic dish cooker which is assisted with this phase change material also. You can see this is the parabolic dish collector. This dish collector we actually purchased this dish collector. This we call as a 4-segmental parabolic collector, and this is purchased from the Prince Solar, the head office at Dhule, which is very much popular today. This collector is focusing the energy at the receiver point, and what the change we made in this receiver, instead of keeping the direct cooking pot here, we tried what if we could collect this energy at the receiver at the terrace, and if you could transfer this energy in the kitchen. So definitely it is not possible to transfer this small amount of the energy kitchen at the ground floor. but surely we did one experiment that what if the kitchen is at the rooftop, and if I collect the solar energy and we can put this energy in the kitchen, which is at the same floor. Uh, Apart from this, we design this type of the collector. So this collector we called as a this spiral receiver. So this spiral receiver is actually very efficient to collect the entire energy, not only in this part, but we designed this for the some peripheral part. We perform the CFD simulation also, that what amount of the solar energy is being available at the peripheral part, and we got a very good result in this type of the solar cooker. This cooker is not being useful only for the peak sunshine period, but in the off sunshine period also, evening time, we tried to put these two different kinds of the phase change material in order to store the solar energy. So at first we use the acetanilide and then we use the acetamide. These two phase change material we are actually putting in the annular space. You can see in this figure beside this cooker there is a space for the phase change material. The energy in the peak sunshine period is being collected and that is stored in the phase change material, so that in the off sunshine period we can use this energy for the cooking application. This is what we tried the different arrangement of the this receiver. Like in the first you can see the spiral receiver, and second this we tried the cavity receiver. And in the cavity receiver, in the CFD simulation, we could get some different result because there are some re-radiation that we could observe, and these re-radiations can be well trapped inside this cavity. This research is again still going on. Actually, we are trying to tap this re-radiation from this receiver also. So we are trying for the this glass window that we call as the quartz window to this cavity receiver, and again we are trying some kind of the trapping arrangement at the top of the system, so that maximum amount of the radiation can be collected. So the significant finding of this entire study is again published in this Springer book. So you can go through this Springer book. At this point, I would like to highlight. So this is the project which we carried out in 2017, and this project got the Best Innovation Award at CSIR NERI. Now this is the another segment. In this another segment, we work on the solar photovoltaic thermal system. This is one system, as the name indicates, the PVT system. A single system can be useful to generate the electrical energy also and the solar thermal energy also. Like you can see in the picture, this is the solar photovoltaic module, and these are those additional reflectors which we call as the secondary mirrors. And this is the trapezoidal flume shape that we call as the inverted trapezoidal flume shape system, where there are the solar photovoltaic module, and the back side of the solar photovoltaic module we have developed a solar thermal channel, that water is being circulated in contact with the solar photovoltaic module. Like this is one module, this is another module. At this side also there is one solar photovoltaic module. The water is circulated in contact with the solar photovoltaic module, and that is collected the heat. The heat which is being collected by the solar photovoltaic module is again transferred with the help of the same water to the solar thermal collector. So we are getting the solar thermal energy at these three solar photovoltaic module. Again, that water which is already heated, that heated water is going to the thermal collector, so that we are getting the more amount of the heat energy. So by this system we are getting the heat energy also. At the same time we are getting the electrical energy by the solar photovoltaic module, and as the heat is removed from the solar photovoltaic module, this system is having the very good efficiency as compared to your conventional solar photovoltaic module. So this is one small experimental setup that we have developed in our laboratory. So the significant findings of again this entire setup and the entire experimental work is being published in the very good Journal of Applied Solar Energy in the Springer. So those who are interested can go through this paper. Then the same thing with the help of some modification we applied for the one Indian patent. So concentrated solar photovoltaic thermal system is applied in 2015. The patent is published in the Indian Patent Journal. You can note down this number and you can see the detail at the Indian Patent website. Apart from this, those who are interested to work in the solar photovoltaic thermal system, I will recommend you to go with my published work in the elsewhere. This is the renewable and the sustainable energy. You can just take a screenshot of this slide. You can go through this DOI and you can see different type of the photovoltaic thermal system. A very comprehensive review is presented where you will find a lot of research direction in the solar photovoltaic thermal system. So this is our another segment. Now coming to the segment of the concentrated solar power again in the CPC, that is compound parabolic collector. In this arrangement, actually we tried. In general, the compound parabolic collector is having only this reflector, and there is a single receiver type of the system. But during our experimentation and some simulation with the help of the ray tracing softwares, we could find that not only the receiver, but these different parts of the receiver. For example, this space over the your focal point, this space below the focal point may receive the good amount of the radiation, say after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and sometime in the morning. Sometime in the morning, say early in the morning, say 7 o'clock. So why not to go with the different types of the receiver? So instead of a single receiver, we tried for the different types of the receiver. Like in the picture, you can see this is the receiver 1 at the focal point, and this is the receiver 2 a little bit offset from the focal point. But to surprise, we got a very good result. So we got with the help of these two different receiver, we got the improved performance of the same system. The radiation which otherwise would have been lost to the atmosphere, so we succeed to capture those radiation with the help of the two receiver also. This paper is also communicated to very good journal, and that is under review. Now coming to the another segment, that segment is a solar water heating segment. In this case, this is one example of the umbrella shape type of the solar water heater. We carried out this project in collaboration with the CSIR Central Institute of Mining and Fuel Research Lab, which is situated in the Nagpur. And in this project, instead of our flat plate collector and the evacuated tube collector, we work on the different arrangement that how we can improve the collection area. So for that, we could find this is the best arrangement that we call as umbrella shape of the solar heater. This is what the absorber surface of that heater, and these are those tubes which is coated with again the selective coating material. The entire thing is coated, and then again the glazing is provided over this entire collector. So there are a lot of advantages we could observe in this collector, that over the entire daytime, without any tracking requirement, this collector can actually collect a lot of solar energy. That energy can be converted. You can see this is one simple example I am showing. This is the outcome of our research. That is a flat plate collector. This blue is the flat plate collector, where the maximum temperature can reach up to 50-60 degrees Celsius, whereas umbrella shape collector, so we can find up to 70 degrees Celsius. So definitely this shape will take the less floor space area. Also, this will collect the maximum amount of the solar energy, and this is something like a do-it-yourself type of the system. You can develop this system at your home also. So our work on this system is still going on, and we are trying for the different materials, and we are also trying for the different types of the secondary reflecting arrangement for such kind of the systems. Now coming to again the very important segment where we are working, and this is the segment of the selective coating material. This is the project which we have carried out in collaboration with the NEERI labs at the Material Energy Division. We actually are trying to develop the different types of the selective coating material, and all those materials are in the category of the photocatalysis techniques. These are all the different instruments what we are using for the synthesis and the characterization of the material, like the this X-ray XRD is being carried out the XRD machine. Then with the help of the UV visible spectrometer and this Fourier transform infrared spectrophotometer, we could get such kind of the absorption spectra of the different material. Then with the help of some nanoparticle analyzer and some selective coating techniques, we could able to develop the different kinds of the nanomaterial, which are actually we are using in in combination with the nanomaterials and some base material. We tried the synthesis and characterization of the different nanomaterials. All those nanomaterials, before actually testing in the actual sunlight, we tested all this nanomaterial with the help of the solar simulator. The solar simulator is a portable type of the solar simulator which we keep at 1000 watt per square meter with the standard test condition of air mass 1.5 filter. And all this selective coating which we have developed, we tested with the help of the solar simulator. And then in the reverse combination, we did a lot of combination of the different nanomaterials, then different their complexity and the different nanoparticle size. And with the help of different synthesis and generation method, we could able to develop the 3 different kind of the material. At this point, I could not disclose the names of those material because those materials are actually we are going for the patenting with the NEERI lab. So I don't have the authority to disclose the names of those material, but these are those 3 different kinds of the selective coating material which could be developed in the this material synthesis lab. Then after the simulation, we actually tried with the actual sunlight, and this is, you can see my student is working with this solar water heater. This you can see in the picture. This is the solar water heater which is having the copper as an absorber surface, and again that is a dimpled surface, so that we will get a good amount of the absorption area. And all the selective coating material which we have developed, that were actually coated on this material, on this absorber surface, and that is tested with the help of the sunlight, and this arrangement is giving the very good result. This is one arrangement which I am showing with the help of the graph. That this red curve, you can see this is the outlet temperature with the coating material, and this is the outlet temperature without surface coating material. So you can see significant difference is there with the temperature. This is just an example of the single material. So like this, there are different material actually we are developing at the lab. Now coming to again another segment, this is the segment of the solar cooking arrangement. This is one setup which is developed by my undergraduate student, and again the CFD simulation is being carried forward by some PG students. In this case, this is the CPC collector, that is compound parabolic collector, and at the receiver point we put different type of the evacuated tube collector. So this evacuated tube collector are not alone we are using. Instead we are using this U-tube type of the arrangement. These tubes are again coated with the selective coating material, and which is made up of the copper. We perform the different types of the simulation, and at a comfortable level, then we fabricate the different types of this U-tube receiver, and those all U-tube receiver are installed in these tubes. The water is being circulated with the help of one DC pump. That DC pump is again connected to the solar photovoltaic module, and that DC pump is again controlled with the help of the Arduino controller. And for the performance analysis system, we have installed the IoT enabled their solar thermal sensors. So based on that thermal sensor, we could find we are getting the very good amount of the solar energy and the very good amount of the temperature inside the receiver also, and inside the cooking pot also. So we tried cooking. Actually, this setup was developed very first for the process heat application, but looking at the efficacy of this entire system, we developed the cooking system out of the same system again. You can see this is the cooking pot where we could able to cook the rice. Then we could able to cook the potato in just 20 to 30 minutes with the intermittent control of this motor. So this entire setup is developed within the very less amount, say maximum up to 5,000 rupees. So if you are getting the solar cooker in the 5,000 rupees, I think it is very well comfortable for the small family of say 4 to 5 people. So this is one segment where we are working even now also. Now, coming to the next segment, this is the segment of the solar distillation, where we worked a lot, and even today also we are working on the tubular type of the solar system. This is in the picture, you can see this is the conventional type of the solar distillation system, where we will call this as a solar still, having the single slope and a still basin, where the water is collected here, and because of this black coating, all the energy which is incident that getting absorbed in this coating material, and it is being heated. The heat is getting transferred to the water. Water is getting evaporated, and it is being condensed on this surface that we call as the condenser surface or the glazing at the top. So this is the conventional solar basin, where the maximum basin temperature could reach up to 58 degrees Celsius, and the distillate output is 250 ml per day. Sorry, 250 ml per hour. So this was the distillate output in case of the conventional. We tried to modify it with the help of the multiple arrangement. Like this is the first arrangement in this segment, that is the inclined solar distillation. Instead of the still water, we could find that instead of letting the water as a still, we circulate this water with the help as a droplet, so that there is at the top there is one arrangement. That arrangement is being done to put the water drop by drop on this surface, on the absorber, so that the water will get the more amount of the settlement time. Again, as the thickness of the water drop is very less as compared to the still, we are getting the very good evaporation rate in this inclined basin arrangement. So this inclined basin arrangement, we could reach up to maximum temperature of 75 degrees Celsius, where the distillate output is again increased to 260 ml. Again, it is increased to 250 ml just by the single arrangement. Then after, we carried forward this project for the n number of different arrangement in order to increase the rate of evaporation. Like this is one arrangement where we tried the different types of the baffle arrangement so that we will get the different and improved evaporation rate. We went for such type of the baffle arrangement where there are segmental cuts are there so that it will get the more time for the water settlement. Again, the rate of evaporation could improve. But we could find that these type of the passive arrangement techniques, which are very conventional techniques, which are again given in the literature, have not much contribution, significant contribution in order to increase the rate of evaporation. Instead of that, we could find there is a very good arrangement and very economical system that with the help of this enamel coating, we mix a little bit amount of the copper chips. So these copper chips, which is surely available with the backend of your workshop. So that copper chips we actually mix with the enamel coating, and that coating is done for this absorber surface. With the help of that selective coating, you can observe in the first image. This is that copper chips. As the copper itself is having the very good absorptivity, and due to the selective coating, again the absorptivity has improved. Apart from that, when the water is coming drop wise, it is getting the hindrance to the water flow, and the settling time of the water is again improved. And because of that, what happens is the rate of evaporation of the water is improved, and we get very good result during the experimentation in actual sunlight. And all the significant results are published in the very reputed journal of desalination and water treatment. Again, you can refer to this journal for the significant contribution of this research. Then again, we did again a little bit improvement in the same system. In the same system, in order to improve the rate of evaporation, we went for the evacuative collector system with the parabolic trough collector. We have attached a parabolic trough collector with evacuated system to this solar collector. Like you can see in this figure, a parabolic trough collector is attached as a secondary heating arrangement to this corrugated basin. To this corrugated basin, actually the radiations are directly coming, which is hitting the basin, and it is increasing the rate of evaporation of water. At the same time, this parabolic trough collector, which is collecting the heat, that heat is again circulated as a secondary heat to this basin, so that in the single system we are getting a very improved rate of evaporation. So this is the entire arrangement which is installed at our rooftop, and the significant findings of this research work is again published in this Springer book. Again, you can refer to this Springer book for the more details. Then again, in the solar distillation, we work on the conical distillator. This is again the project in collaboration with the CSIR lab of Central Institute of Mining and Fuel Research, where we tried the conical distillation system. In the conical distillator, we put the water here. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. Now see, this is the conical distillator, and the water is again coming drop by drop on this absorber surface. And due to this conical shape, all the day, for the entire day, we are getting the solar radiation, and the water is getting evaporated, and the condensate is again collected at the condenser surface or the glazing surface. This is one very good arrangement because this arrangement is having both the things. We actually provided one additional provision to use the biomass also in the same conical water distillator, so that in the countryside where the biomass is abundantly available, we can use the solar energy also, and in the off sunshine period, we can use the biomass energy also. Based on our entire work in the solar distillation, then we come to one innovative idea, and that idea that we name as a Saur Bund, and this is that improved solar steel. We actually did a very simple arrangement to attach the convex lenses at the top condenser glass on the solar steel arrangement, where the direct beam radiation can fall to the basin directly also. At the same time, these lenses can concentrate the solar energy at the point, and we got very improved result. So this is what our innovation, which got the best innovation award by CSIR NERI and also at the Nagpur Innovation Gallery also we could achieve this great appreciation award. Then again the same things, the same idea we have patented. Yeah. Now am I audible? Yeah. Now this is the that solar distillation system, and which we applied for the patent. You can find more detail with this application number. This is now published in the Indian Patent Journal. Now coming to our next segment, and that segment is the solar air heater, or we can say the solar dryer. This is the one arrangement what we tried. This we call as solar tunnel dryer. This tunnel dryer was developed, and what is the specialty in this tunnel dryer? Instead of going for the simple conventional tunnel dryer, we are working on the different types of these polythene sheets or different types of the glazing material. We are working on the different types of the selective coating material for this, so that we can improve the performance of the solar collector. What special arrangement we are doing in this? We actually going with the this heat storage assisted type of the dryer. You can see we have attached one evacuated tube collector in order to collect the additional solar thermal energy. That thermal energy can be collected in the sunshine period. And you can see this is the picture of your PCM storage that material. So this is the tray which we are putting beneath this entire tray. So in the daytime, this is actually taking the direct sunlight, and in the off sunshine period, the energy which is collected here in the PCM tray, so that is being used as a storage. And you can see the significant outcome of the study. If I considering this for the drying hours, so if I go with the this is the your conventional drying. So in case of the conventional drying, I am getting some approximately 30 hours time in order to remove the same amount of the moisture. In case of the without phase change material, I require 20 hours. But if I go with the phase change material, so I require just 10 hours. So if I see the average day length, so that is approximately 10.5. So this type of the solar thermal arrangement and solar storage with the help of PCM and this crop dryer may be very useful. So this is one thing what we have tried. Coming to another segment which we tried again in collaboration with the CSIR NEERI lab. This is the parabolic dish collector. In the parabolic dish collector, you can see this is the cavity receiver. What we tried is we are going for this window. This is what we are saying the quartz window, which is collected here in order to suppress the heat loss, which is otherwise there is because of the re-radiation. So we could able to develop a quartz window. You can see this is a quartz, the glass which is attached here at this cavity receiver. So this cavity receiver is actually performing very better as compared to the previous one because the re-radiation process are getting suppressed, and a lot of energy is being collected here, and that is useful for the utilization. Apart from this, again we are using for the some nanomaterials coating. And again, we could succeed in developing the different types of the nanomaterial and the selective coating with the help of again the same this synthesis and the characterization methods at the NEERI lab. Again, we check with the help of this solar simulator, and we could able to find out the different types of the material, and we get very good result with the different selective coating arrangement and this quartz side of the glass arrangement. Now coming to this last segment, and which is the CSP, that is the concentrated solar power. This is the one self-funded project. This is the project which is funded by our college. This is development of the experimental facility of solar steam cooking system, which is developed to generate the steam for the solar cooking application for the hostel mess. You can see this is the Google map image of our canteen. And these two are the 16 square meter dishes. The actual photograph is something like this. The aperture area of the single dish is 16 square meter. So this dish is being used to generate the pressurized hot water. This is the actual layout of the system, where there are the two dishes. These are the concentrating solar collector with the receiver. The water is being circulated from the dish 1, it is being heated, it is going to the dish 2, and it is converted to pressurized hot water, and which is being stored in the pressurized hot water container that we call it the steam accumulator. Once we open the tap of the steam for the utilization in the kitchen, it is coming as a flash steam because there is a pressure difference about say 4 to 5 bar. So due to that pressure difference, we are getting the flash steam at the cooking vessel which is inside the kitchen at the ground floor. In design, very first we went with the parabolic tracer. So with the help of that, the parabolic dish collector were designed, and we could able to find what is the focal point of the collector. Then different types of the combination of the receiver design and the CFD simulation has been carried out. Then once the system is installed, we went for the IoT enabled performance analysis and monitoring system, where the performance of dish 1 and the dish 2, both the dishes at the receiver point, we could able to find out. So you can see this is the blue color is the temperature. So temperature of the dish 1 is around 120-140 degrees Celsius as the peak temperature, and in case of the dish 2, the temperature is reaching up to say 160 degrees Celsius. And if I talk about the pressure, so system pressure is up to 5 to 6 bars in the dish 1, and again the similar kind of the pressure 5 to 6 bar what we are getting in the dish 2. So in total, when I talk about the quality of the saturated steam or the pressurized hot water, so that in the steam accumulator I am getting up to 5 bar and say 140 degrees Celsius. So this water is very much sufficient in order to generate the steam. These are those actual photographs in the installation. You can see this is the 12 segmented parabolic dish collector which is installed at the site. This is what all those civil requirement, because the dish is having around 500 kg weight as a single dish, and which is equipped with a 2-axis tracking mechanism. So we want to go with the tripod type of the system. So this is that entire dish which is installed at the site. Then this is the actual photographs of those receiver. So this is the cavity type of the receiver, again the helical coil receiver, and which is coated with the insulating material. You can see this is the aluminum cladding, and this is the receiver in place. This you can see this is the motor, DC motor, which is being used for the one axis, another motor which is being used for the second axis. So in total we have the 2-axis type of the mechanism which will track the sun from east to west. Also there is a provision for the seasonal tracking. At the same time you can see this is the counterweight, which is to counter the entire weight of this dish, which is having the 500 kg of the weight. There is one video, let me see if this video is working here. No, actually this is the video of the steam generation where we tried to generate the steam. Now you can see these are the different components, like this is the component of the pump, these are the insulated pipelines, and this is what the steam accumulator. So this steam accumulator is actually storing the pressurized hot water in order to generate the flash steam, and these are those cooking vessels that we call as the direct sparge vessel, where the steam is directly coming from the bottom end of this vessel to the kitchen. And this is what the entire system where actually we this is the system where there is a open loop type of the system. It means the water is only circulated from dish 1, dish 2, and it is going to the pressurized steam, and the steam is being used for the kitchen. Now we are actually changed the layout of the system, and now we are going for the closed loop type of the system for the better efficiency of the system. So this work is even still again is being carried out, and a lot of work is being carried on the receiver part, and some of the work is being carried out in this coating material part also, and again the performance analysis and the monitoring. So I hope this project will be a very good project in order to understand what are the different research scope in the solar concentrated solar power in the receiver type of the systems. Apart from that, coming to the last slide of this presentation, and this is the solar photovoltaic system which we have installed in our campus. So this is again the Google Eye bird eye view of our campus. So in total, in the entire campus, we have till date installed 460 kilowatt of the solar rooftop grid connected power plant. So this plant is also IoT enabled system for the performance analysis is being installed, and a lot of things we are doing with the help of this grid connected solar plant. Approximately 50% of our energy consumption is being done by the solar photovoltaic plant, which is right now installed in the campus. But for the solar photovoltaic application, I may need separate 2 hours talk, because in our solar laboratory we are having the very good publications in the solar photovoltaic plant, part, and also we are having the very good patents also in the solar photovoltaic plant. So I hope I will take some another part for the solar photovoltaic. So I end this talk here. Thank you very much for the kind listening. I again thank to the organizer for giving me this good opportunity to present before you. Thank you very much.